Welcome to This is Thailand. I'm your host, and today's story is about a man named Clyde, a 65-year-old retired scaffolder from Oregon who came to Chiang Mai searching for something he couldn't name. What he found seemed perfect, at first genuine, different from all the cautionary tales he'd read online. But what happened next changed everything. This one's going to stick with you because Clyde thought he was smarter than the warnings, careful enough to avoid the traps, experienced enough to know the difference between real connection and something else entirely. He had no idea what was coming. Here's his story, in his own words. My name's Clyde, 65 now, 66 by the time everything fell apart. Spent 40 years on scaffolding crews across Oregon, Portland, high-rises mostly, some Eugene commercial builds, whatever work the union sent me to. Rain, wind, didn't matter. You suit up, you climb, you build the framework so other guys can do their jobs. Nothing fancy about it. Good union wages, benefits, pension at the end. The kind of work where you don't think much, just do. Never married. Had a few girlfriends over the years, but nothing stuck. Looking back, I think work always came first without me realizing it. Easier to focus on the job than figure out the complicated parts of being with someone. Friday nights I had poker with the same 4 guys I'd known for 20 years, Timbers season tickets, couple beers at the Ram after work. A rhythm that felt complete enough that I never questioned it. Then at 63 I went in for a routine colonoscopy. You're supposed to start getting them at 50, but I'd put it off. Figured I felt fine, so why bother? Doctor found stage 2 colon cancer. Just like that, everything stopped. 6 months of chemo followed. Hair fell out in clumps. Lost 30 pounds I didn't have to lose. The fatigue wasn't like being tired from a long shift. It was like someone unplugged something essential inside me. All the indignity of it. Sitting in those recliners with the IV drip, other people in their own chairs fighting their own battles. But the chemo worked. Clear scans at 64. Remission. The oncologist shook my hand, said I'd beaten it, said come back in 6 months for monitoring. Sitting in those waiting rooms during treatment, I watched other patients. Most of them had someone with them, wives holding hands, daughters reading magazines nearby, whole families rallying around. I had my sister Karen calling from Bend to check in, work buddies texting encouragement. But I came home to an empty apartment every night, made my own meals, took my own pills, woke up alone to go to appointments alone. Something broke during those 6 months that never healed right. Not the cancer the scan said I was clear. Something else. I'd spent 40 years building structures for other people, put up the bones of office buildings and apartments and hospitals where thousands of people would live their lives. But my own life? I'd built nothing. No wife, no kids, no legacy except steel and concrete with someone else's name on it. At 65, I retired. Pension kicked in, $1,800 a month. Had $125,000 saved, not rich but comfortable if I was careful. Kept my apartment in Northeast Portland, same place I'd lived for 12 years. The cancer gave me the push to finally stop working, but retirement just meant more empty hours to fill. I'd sit in that apartment asking myself the same question over and over. Is this it? Just wait here until the cancer comes back? Because statistically, it does come back for a lot of people. 5-year survival rate, 10-year survival rate. The numbers they don't like to talk about in detail. Was I supposed to just sit in Portland watching Timbers games and playing poker until the next scan showed something growing again? YouTube algorithm offered an answer I wasn't looking for. Started watching retirement abroad videos. Cost of living comparisons, expat testimonials, guys walking through markets in Mexico or Ecuador or Southeast Asia showing what you could buy for $5. Chiang Mai, Thailand kept coming up. Affordable, like, really affordable compared to Portland. Good private healthcare. Better than what my Medicare would cover in the States. Year-round warmth. Established expat community so you wouldn't be completely alone. After 40 years on open scaffolding in Oregon rain, the idea of perpetual sunshine felt medicinal. Never being cold again. Never feeling that wind cut through your jacket at 6 in the morning climbing to the 15th floor. Just warmth, ease, maybe some kind of peace. I told myself I was just testing the waters. Booked 2 weeks at a guest house near Chiang Mai's old city for November. No big plans, no expectations. Just see if I could breathe there, see if the place matched the videos. But deep down, I knew I was searching for something I couldn't name. Or maybe I could name it but didn't want to admit it out loud. I was 65 years old, cancer survivor, no wife, no kids, pension and savings, and nothing to spend it on except myself. The scaffolding had always been enough before. The structure of work, the routine, the purpose of building something even if it wasn't mine. Now there was no structure. Just empty days and the question that wouldn't leave me alone. What was I building my life toward? What was the point of surviving cancer if this was all that was left? Thailand felt like an answer, or at least a place to look for one. I bought the ticket on a Tuesday night in October. Portland was already getting that autumn rain, the kind that's more mist than drops, soaking through everything. Clicked purchase on the flight PDX to Bangkok to Chiang Mai, leaving in 3 weeks. Felt my heart rate pick up like I was doing something dangerous. Maybe I was. Karen called that weekend. I told her about the trip, tried to sound casual. She was quiet for a long time, then said, "Just be careful, Clyde. I've heard stories." I told her I'd heard the stories too. Bar girls, scams, foreigners getting taken for everything they had. I wasn't stupid. I'd done my research. I was just going to check out the retirement scene, maybe make some expat friends, see if it felt like somewhere I could live part of the year. "I just don't want you doing anything drastic," she said. "You've been through a lot with the cancer. Don't make big decisions when you're still recovering." But that was the thing. I wasn't recovering. The cancer was gone, but I hadn't recovered. I'd survived treatment and come out the other side into a life that felt smaller than before, not bigger. The close call with death was supposed to make everything more precious, right? Make you appreciate what you had. All it did for me was highlight how little I had to appreciate. 3 weeks later, I was on the plane. 14 hours to Bangkok, then another hour to Chiang Mai. Landed in November heat that hit like opening an oven door. 75 degrees at night, humid. The air thick with smells I couldn't identify: incense, street food, exhaust, something floral. The guest house near Tiape Gate cost 400 baht a night. Took me a minute to do the math. $12. $12 for a private room with a bed, a fan, a bathroom. Not fancy but clean. The woman running it spoke enough English to check me in. Showed me where the ice machine was. Said breakfast was included, just fruit and toast. But still, I had no idea what I was doing. That first night, I just walked. The old city was surrounded by a moat, parts of the ancient wall still standing. Temples everywhere, golden and red in the streetlights. Motorbikes streaming past in rivers, everyone on their phones, couples riding together, whole families on one bike. The sidewalks were cracked and uneven. Street vendors grilling meat on sticks, the smell mixing with diesel and dust. I felt stupid and foreign and completely out of place. Ate at 7-Eleven that first night because at least I recognized the logo. Could point at the sandwiches in the cooler without needing to speak. Went back to the guest house and lay under the fan, wondering what the hell I was doing here. But something about it felt right too. Or maybe just different enough from Portland that it felt like possibility. Third evening in Chiang Mai, hunger finally drove me past the 7-Eleven. I'd been walking aimlessly most of the day, sweating through my shirt, no real destination. The heat was constant but not oppressive, just present, like background noise you stop noticing. Found myself down a narrow soi near the old city wall, away from the main tourist streets. Quieter there, fewer foreigners. Saw a small restaurant tucked between a motorcycle repair shop and a laundry. Plastic chairs out front, maybe 6 tables total. No English sign, just Thai script. Family run by the look of it, older woman cooking in the back, younger woman serving. No other customers at that hour, early for dinner by Thai standards, I'd learn later. The younger woman looked up when I walked in. Early 30s maybe, hair pulled back in a ponytail, no makeup, wearing jeans and a plain t-shirt. Not trying to be anything she wasn't. She watched me stare at the menu on the wall, all Thai, no pictures, might as well have been hieroglyphics. She switched to English without me asking. "You want spicy or Farang spicy?" Made me laugh. First time I'd laughed since landing. What's the difference? Thai spicy make you cry. Farang spicy make you happy. She smiled, genuine. Not a bar girl smile I'd seen in the night market areas. Just friendly. "Farang spicy then. What do you recommend?" "Khao soi. Northern curry, coconut noodles. Very good here. My aunt make." She pointed to the older woman in the back who nodded at me, didn't speak. I said sure, sat down at one of the plastic chairs. The table wobbled. She brought me water in a glass with ice, said her name was Ploy. Asked where I was from, the usual questions. "Oregon," I told her. "Visiting for a couple weeks, seeing if I liked Chiang Mai." She nodded like she'd heard it before. "Many Farang come here retire. Weather nice, not expensive like America." The Kai Swa came out 10 minutes later, and it was incredible. Rich coconut broth, crispy noodles on top, chicken falling apart tender. Best meal I'd had since landing, maybe best in months. I ate slowly, savoring it, not wanting it to end too quick. When I paid 60 baht, less than $2, I left a 100 baht note, told her to keep it. She looked surprised, started to make change. I waved her off. 40 baht tip on a 60 baht meal, but it felt right. She thanked me, genuine again, not calculating. Didn't feel like she was sizing up how much more she could get. I went back the next night. Same table, same friendly service. We talked a bit more this time. She asked what brought me to Chiang Mai specifically. I kept it vague: retirement, checking out the city, seeing if it felt like somewhere I could live. She said she understood, asked if I had family back home, told her about Karen, my sister. Left out the cancer, the empty apartment, all of it. Third visit, she started opening up more. Mentioned her son in passing 8 years old, living with her mother in Isan during the school year. Better schools there, she said, though I suspected it was more about affording to take care of him. Said her ex-husband had remarried, didn't help with expenses. She worked here at her aunt's restaurant, saved tips for school fees and supplies. No sob story, just facts, delivered matter of fact. This is my situation, not asking for sympathy or help, just explaining her life when I asked about it. I noticed she wore the same 2 outfits, alternating, jeans and 1 of 2 t-shirts. Cheap flip-flops, no jewelry except a small Buddha amulet on a chain. Her phone was old, cracked screen. Everything about her said working hard, getting by, no extras. Over 2 weeks, I ended up going back 6 times. Not every night, didn't want to seem desperate or weird, but most nights. The food was good, the aunt's cooking better than anywhere else I'd tried. And Ploy was easy to talk to. Conversations deepened naturally. She asked about my work, what I did before retirement. Scaffolding, I told her. Building frameworks for construction. She seemed interested, asked questions. What was it like working up high? Wasn't it dangerous? I told her after 40 years you stop thinking about the danger, just becomes routine, like anything else. One evening she noticed me touching my abdomen without thinking about it, asked if I was okay. I realized I'd been unconsciously touching the surgical scar through my shirt, told her about the cancer, not the whole story, just the basics: diagnosis, treatment, remission. She listened without the pity I'd gotten used to back home. No, I'm so sorry, or awkward silence. Instead she said, you build things for work, yes? Now you build life. Simple words. But they hit me sideways. I'd spent 2 weeks walking around Chiang Mai feeling unmoored, no purpose, no structure. And here was this waitress in a family restaurant saying exactly what I needed to hear without knowing she was saying it. I asked about her father, changing the subject because I felt something tightening in my chest. She said he'd been a farmer, worked rice fields his whole life. When he got too old to work, lost his sense of purpose, didn't know who he was anymore, sat around the house for a year before he died, not from anything specific, just seemed to give up. You cannot stop building, she said. Build different things now, but still build. When I mentioned feeling directionless since retiring, she nodded like she understood completely, not in a performative way. Genuine understanding. Last night before my flight back to Portland, I did something I hadn't planned. Offered to help with her son's school fees. 8,000 baht, I'd looked it up, about $230. Nothing to me, but probably meant something to her. She refused. Flat out no, shaking her head. Too much, she said. I couldn't accept. I insisted. Said it was nothing for me, would help her, made sense. She refused again, and I saw tears forming in her eyes. Not manipulation tears. Embarrassed tears, proud tears, didn't want charity. Finally she accepted. Thanked me profusely, actually crying now. Called her aunt over, introduced me properly. Turns out the aunt owned the restaurant. Ploy just helped out. The aunt thanked me too, seemed genuinely moved. Ploy showed me photos on her cracked phone screen. Her son in his school uniform, gap-toothed smile, holding a soccer ball. Normal kid. Real kid, no angle I could detect, no game. Just a single mother working hard, dealt a tough hand by an ex-husband who'd moved on, trying to give her kid a decent shot at education and life. Walking back to the guest house that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not since before the cancer, maybe not since ever. Purpose. Like I mattered to someone. Not my labor on the scaffolding, not the pension check, not the medical insurance. Just me, the person, helping another person who needed it. On the flight back to Portland, I couldn't stop thinking about it. About Ploy. About Chiang Mai. About the warmth and the food and the simplicity of life there. About building something instead of just waiting around to die. I'd read the horror stories online before coming. Every expat forum had them. Thai girlfriend scams, sick buffalo stories, mama needs operation, every variation ending the same way: Farang loses his money, girl disappears or turns out to have a husband. Cautionary tales designed to make guys like me scared and careful. But Ploy felt different. She had a job, worked at her aunt's restaurant, had her own income, however modest. She had dignity, boundaries. She'd refused my help twice before accepting, and only accepted with tears. Genuine gratitude, not calculation. I'd spent enough years on construction sites to know when someone was running a game. The foreman who'd short your hours, the contractors who'd use cheap materials and charge for quality, the guys who'd steal tools from the truck when you weren't looking. You develop a sense for dishonesty when your job depends on trust 40 stories up. Ploy didn't trip that sense. Everything about her felt genuine. A working woman doing her best in a country where women like her don't have a lot of options, grateful for unexpected kindness from a foreigner who could afford to be kind. The weeks back in Portland felt gray, November rain, the mist that gets into everything. My apartment felt smaller than before, emptier. I'd go to the grocery store, cook meals for one, watch Timber's highlights on YouTube, go to bed early. The routine that had felt sufficient before Thailand now felt suffocating. Ploy and I stayed in touch through line messages. Nothing romantic, just friendly check-ins. She'd send photos of dishes her aunt cooked, updates about the restaurant, mentioned her son got new school supplies with the money I'd given, thanked me again, never asked for more, never hinted at needing anything else. When I mentioned casually that I might come back to Chiang Mai, maybe on a longer visa next time, she responded with a simple message, "That's nice. I'm happy you like Chiang Mai," followed by a smiley emoji, not possessive, not fishing for commitment, just nice. And I thought, maybe this could be something. Not necessarily romantic, maybe just friendship, connection, someone to talk to in a place where I could afford to live comfortably, where the weather didn't hurt, where I could build something resembling a life instead of just marking time until the cancer returned. Looking back now, I can see how every decision that followed started in those 2 weeks. The seeds were planted. The hook was set. Not by Ploy doing anything calculated, or at least not obviously calculated, but by me being exactly what I was, 65 years old, cancer survivor, lonely as hell, desperate to matter to someone. The scaffolding analogy Ploy used, build things, build life now, became my justification for everything that came next. I was building, constructing something, not just waiting around to die in a Portland apartment. It took me 3 months to go back. 3 months of Portland winter, gray rain, empty rooms, the same poker games with the same guys making the same jokes. 3 months of thinking about warmth and cow soy and a woman who'd said I still had things to build. I spent those 3 months in Portland doing what I told myself was being smart. Applied for the non-retirement visa through the Thai consulate in Los Angeles. 50 years or older, check. 800,000 baht in a Thai bank account, about 23 grand. I transferred 30,000 total to be safe, opened the account through Bangkok Bank's New York branch, got the required health insurance, filled out the forms. My buddy Dave from the poker game asked what I was doing. Told him I was moving to Thailand for a while, testing out retirement there. He raised his eyebrows, said he'd heard about guys doing that. "Just be careful with the women over there, Clyde. They're professionals." I told him I wasn't going for women. Just cheaper living, better weather, change of scenery. He didn't look convinced. Karen was more direct when I told her. "You going back for that waitress, aren't you?" I said no. I was going back because I liked Chiang Mai. Ploy was just a friend. Karen gave me that look, the one she'd perfected over 60 years of being my older sister. The look that said she knew I was lying to myself even if I didn't. "Just don't do anything stupid with your money," she said. "You've got enough to live on comfortably, but not enough to throw around." I promised I'd be careful, and I meant it. I've been reading expat forums obsessively those 3 months. Thai visa, expat forum, Reddit threads about Chiang Mai. Every third post was a cautionary tale. Guy meets Thai girl, falls in love, buys her a house, turns out she's married. Guy invests in a bar with his Thai girlfriend, loses everything when they break up because foreigners can't own businesses. Guy after guy making the same mistakes, convinced their situation was different. I told myself I was smarter than that, more careful. I'd seen Ploy refuse money twice before accepting. She had a job, her own life. We'd stayed in touch, but she never asked for anything. Just friendly messages, photos of food, updates about her son doing well in school. I wasn't one of those desperate guys chasing bar girls in Pattaya. This was different. Looking back, that's what they all think. Landed in Chiang Mai in February. Hot season starting, 90 degrees but dry heat, not the humidity of November. I'd arranged a one-bedroom condo in Niman area through an agent, 12,000 baht a month, about $350. Nice building, pool, gym, mostly other expats. 6th floor, balcony overlooking the city, felt like luxury after my Portland apartment. First few days I just settled in, bought basics, rice cooker, dishes, bedding, got a local SIM card, set up my phone, registered my address with immigration like you're supposed to within 24 hours of arrival. The bureaucracy in Thailand is no joke. Forms in triplicate, passport photos, copies of everything. But I'd done my research, knew what to expect. Week 1 I messaged Ploy, kept it casual. Said I was back in Chiang Mai, had gotten a longer visa, would love to grab coffee sometime if she was free. She responded within an hour. "That's wonderful. I am happy you come back. Yes, we can meet for coffee." We met at a place she suggested, local spot in the old city. Not touristy, mostly Thai people, good iced coffee. When I got there, she was already waiting, wearing jeans and a different t-shirt than I'd seen before. Smiled when she saw me, genuine smile, stood up to wave that Thai greeting, hands pressed together. We talked for 2 hours. She asked about my flight, how I was settling in, if I'd found a place to live. I told her about the condo in Niman. She seemed impressed, said that was a good area, safe, convenient. Asked if I was planning to stay long-term. I said maybe, seeing how it felt, no commitments yet. She told me about the past few months. Restaurant was doing okay, her son was doing well in school, his grades had improved with the new supplies. She thanked me again for helping, said it made a real difference. When the bill came, she insisted on paying for her own coffee. Pulled out a worn 20 baht note, wouldn't let me cover it. That stuck with me. She could have let me pay, expected me to pay. Instead, she covered her own drink like we were equals, meeting as friends, not a rich Farang and a poor Thai woman. We started seeing each other regularly after that. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. She'd message asking if I wanted to get dinner after her shift at the restaurant. I'd suggest day trips on her days off Doi Suthep Temple, the Sunday walking street market, the elephant sanctuary outside the city. She always insisted on paying her own way or we'd split costs. I started just paying for things without asking because the back and forth felt silly, but she'd protest every time. About a month in, we were walking back from the night bazaar. February evening, cooling down to maybe 75, nice breeze, street vendors selling grilled pork skewers, the smell of muping mixing with exhaust and incense from nearby temples. We'd been talking about nothing important. She was telling me about a difficult customer at the restaurant, making me laugh with her impression of a German tourist complaining about Thai spicy. And then she just reached over and took my hand. Simple gesture. But I felt it everywhere. First time I'd held a woman's hand in 5 years, maybe longer. Her hand was small, calloused from work, warm. We kept walking like that, not talking about it, just walking hand in hand through Chiang Mai night market like it was the most natural thing in the world. That's when I let myself think, maybe this could be something real. Month 3, things became physical. Her idea, not mine. She'd been staying over occasionally, sleeping in my bed, but nothing more. I didn't push. Figured she'd let me know when she was ready. One night, she just turned to me and kissed me. Shy about it, hesitant, self-conscious about her body after childbirth, stretch marks she tried to hide. I told her she was beautiful, meant it too. She'd always leave before morning though. Said Thai people gossip, didn't want neighbors at my condo to see her doing the walk of shame. I respected that, liked that she cared about propriety, about how things looked, showed she had values, wasn't just some girl looking for a foreigner to support her. During these months I helped with small things. 500 baht here for her son's school uniform. 1,000 baht there when the restaurant had a slow week and she couldn't make rent on her little apartment. Never more than 20, 30 bucks at a time. Everything seemed reasonable, reciprocal. She was spending time with me, cooking for me sometimes, teaching me Thai phrases, introducing me to her friends from the restaurant. Fair exchange. Month 4, I started giving her 10,000 baht monthly. About $290. Framed it carefully, didn't want to offend her. Told her the restaurant schedule was irregular. Some weeks she got good shifts, and some weeks didn't. If she was spending evenings with me instead of picking up extra shifts, it seemed fair I'd help cover that lost income. She protested at first, said it was too much, she couldn't accept. I insisted. Said it made sense, helped me feel less guilty about taking up her time. Finally, she accepted. Cried a little, thanked me, said I was too kind. She'd use it to help her family, save for her son's education. I joined an expat social group that met Tuesday mornings at a coffee shop in Niman. Mostly retired guys, couple of teachers, one guy who'd sold a business in Melbourne and was living off the proceeds. We talk about visa stuff, compare insurance plans, complain about immigration offices, share tips on where to find good Western food when you needed a break from Thai. One guy, Gary from Canada, asked if I was seeing anyone. I mentioned ploy casually. He gave me that look, the knowing look. Just be careful, mate, he said. I'm not saying anything about your girl specifically, but I've seen it 100 times. Starts small, then her buffalo gets sick, then her brother needs a motorcycle, then her mother needs medicine. It's a pattern. I told him ploy wasn't like that. She had a job, supported herself. I was just helping a little because restaurant work was inconsistent. He shrugged, said fair enough, but watch out. The pattern is always the same. I got my 6-month health checkup at the private hospital, Bangkok Hospital. Chiang Mai, nice facility, English-speaking doctors. Cancer markers still clear. 5-year survival rates were looking good. Doctor said keep doing what I was doing, come back in 6 months. Sitting in that hospital waiting room, I thought about how different it felt from the Portland oncology office. Here, I had a reason to stay healthy. Had someone waiting for me, someone who'd ask how the appointment went, who'd squeeze my hand and tell me she was happy the results were good. Had a life I was building, instead of a life I was just maintaining. That evening, Ploy made me pad crap out of my condo, her version with the holy basil she'd bought at the market. We ate on the balcony watching the sun go down over Doi Suthep Mountain, the temple up top catching the last light. She asked about the checkup. I told her everything looked good. She smiled, said she'd been worried, said a prayer at the temple that morning for my health. See, she said, you were building new life now, good life, healthy life. And I believed it, believed I'd found something real in this city, with this woman, believed the cancer was behind me and a future was ahead, believed I was being smart and careful, and that my situation was genuinely different from all those cautionary tales on the forums. Believed I was building a foundation instead of walking into a trap that had been set the moment I walked into that restaurant 5 months ago and couldn't read the menu. Month 6, everything shifted. Started on a Sunday. Ploy and I had gone to her aunt's restaurant for lunch like we did most weekends. The place was quiet, just a few tables occupied. Her aunt was in the kitchen, stressed, moving slower than usual. Ploy went back to help and I heard them talking in rapid Thai, voices tense. When Ploy came back out, she had tears in her eyes, sat down across from me, wouldn't look directly at me. "What's wrong?" I asked. She shook her head, said it was nothing, family problems, not my concern. I pressed. Finally, she told me. The landlord was raising the lease payment. They owed 150,000 baht, about $4,300, or they'd lose the location. Her aunt had run the restaurant there for 8 years. It was their livelihood. "Can't she negotiate?" I asked. Ploy said they'd tried. New development going in down the street, property values rising, landlord wanted market rate or they were out. Tourist numbers had been down, competition from newer places. They didn't have the money. I watched Ploy's aunt through the kitchen doorway. Woman in her 50s, working hard her whole life, about to lose everything because some landlord saw an opportunity. Reminded me of guys I'd worked with who got squeezed out when developers came in, gentrification pushing working people to the margins. "I can help," I said. Ploy looked at me. "No, too much. I cannot ask." "You're not asking, I'm offering." She shook her head, started crying for real now, said it was too much money she couldn't accept. I'd already been so kind. Her aunt came out, saw Ploy crying, asked what was wrong. Ploy explained in Thai. The aunt looked at me, shook her head too. "No, too much, cannot accept." I insisted, told them $4,300 was nothing to me. I'd spent more than that on a used F-150 back in Portland. This was an investment in something I cared about. I ate there every week. The food was incredible. I wanted to see it succeed. They could pay me back gradually if they wanted, or not at all. Didn't matter. They both refused again. I could see it was tearing Ploy apart. Pride versus necessity. Her aunt needed this. The restaurant was her life. Finally, I framed it different. Told them to think of me as a silent partner. I'd cover the lease payment, they'd keep running the place like always, and when business picked up, they could pay me back. Business arrangement, not charity. That shifted something. The aunt nodded slowly. Ploy wiped her eyes. They accepted. I transferred the money the next day. 150,000 baht from my Bangkok bank account to the aunt's account. Got a handwritten receipt on restaurant stationery, signed and dated. Felt official enough. Felt good too, if I'm being honest. Felt needed. Like I was building something here, investing in something real. Ploy was so grateful it embarrassed me, kept thanking me, saying I was too kind. She'd pay me back. Her aunt would pay me back. I told her to forget about it. Just keep making good khao soi. Month 7, her son needed braces. Didn't come up as a request. We were at my condo. She was showing me photos on her phone. Her boy had come to visit from his aunt for a few days. Stayed with Ploy at her apartment. Cute kid, 8 years old, gap-toothed smile. But I noticed his teeth were coming in crooked, overlapping in front. "His teeth okay?" I asked. Ploy sighed. Said they were coming in wrong, would cause problems later. Good orthodontist in Chiang Mai charged 80,000 baht for full treatment, about $2,300. She was saving toward it, but would take years at her current rate. I offered immediately. She protested I'd already helped so much with the restaurant, she couldn't accept more. I insisted. Told her kids' dental health is important. I'd had bad teeth as a young man. Knew how it affected confidence and caused problems down the line. This was an investment in her son's future. She cried. Accepted, said she'd pay me back. I said don't worry about it. Looking back, I can see the pattern establishing. These weren't direct asks. Problems emerged naturally in conversation. Ploy would mention something sad or stressful. I'd offer to help. She'd refuse. I'd insist. She'd accept with tears and promises to repay. Every time felt organic. Every time felt like I was being a good partner, taking care of someone I cared about. Month 8, her brother's motorcycle broke down. 45,000 baht to fix, about $1,300. He needed it for work delivery driver in Chiang Rai. Without the bike he couldn't work, couldn't send money home to help their mother. I told Ploy to have him get it fixed. I'd cover it. Month 9, her mother's diabetes got worse. Village clinic medicine wasn't working well enough. She needed the good stuff from Bangkok pharmacy. 15,000 baht monthly, about $430. I added it to my monthly outflow. 10,000 for Ploy's stipend, 15,000 for her mother's medicine, 25,000 baht total, about $720 a month, plus whatever emergencies came up. My pension covered my living expenses, condo rent, food, utilities, visa fees. The savings were for extras and emergencies. I was drawing down the principal faster than I'd planned. but it still felt manageable. I'd started with $125,000, given Ploy $230,000 for school fees that first trip, transferred $30,000 to Thailand for visa requirements, but that was sitting in the bank, couldn't touch it without voiding the visa. So call it $95,000 to work with, restaurant lease, $4,300. Son's braces, $2,300, brother's motorcycle, $1,300, mother's medicine over 4 months, $1,700, monthly stipend to Ploy over 9 months, $2,600. I did the math one night, $32,000 over 9 months, down to $93,000 in liquid savings. But I told myself it was fine. The restaurant was an investment they'd pay me back when business improved. The other stuff was taking care of Ploy's family, which felt like taking care of my family. I was building something here, building a life with someone who cared about me. The warning signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. One afternoon, I stopped by Ploy's apartment unannounced. We usually texted before meeting, but I was nearby, thought I'd surprise her, maybe take her to lunch. Knocked on the door of her second-floor walk-up in the old city. A younger Thai guy answered, maybe 30, wearing a tank top, holding a beer. We stared at each other. He didn't look surprised exactly, more like annoyed. Ploy appeared behind him, flustered. "Clyde, I didn't know you were coming." "Who's this?" I asked. "My cousin," she said quickly. "He brings suntan from his shop. You want to try?" The guy nodded at me, didn't smile, went back inside. I looked around for the suntan. No takeout containers, no food anywhere visible. "Your cousin has a suntan shop?" I asked. "Yes, in Chiang Rai. He, visiting today." Something felt off, but I didn't push it. Thai families are close, I told myself. Cousin probably means something broader than it does in English. Extended family, family friend, whatever. Not my place to interrogate her relationships. We went to lunch. Didn't mention it again. But I started noticing other things. Ploy's phone was always face down now when we were together. When it buzzed during dinner, she'd excuse herself, take the call outside or in the bathroom. "Aunt has questions about menu," she'd say. Or, "Mama calling about brother." I thought about asking to meet her mother, her son, when he visited again. But Ploy always said, soon, when timing is right. Thai family very traditional, need to prepare them, make sure they know you are serious. I took that as a good sign. She wanted her family to approve of me, to see I was serious about her. That meant she was serious about me too, right? Month 9, I sat down and really tallied everything. $32,000 in 9 months. Savings down from $125,000 to $93,000. Monthly outflow now at $1,200 between Ploy's stipend, her mother's medicine, and random emergencies. But the pension covered my cost of living. As long as I didn't have more big expenses, the principal shouldn't erode much further, and I was getting value for it. Had a girlfriend who cared about me, was building a life here, helping a family that needed it. I'd spent $4,300 on worse investments over the years. The restaurant was doing better according to Ploy. Busier now, tourist numbers picking back up. Her son's teeth were straightening. She showed me photos from the orthodontist. Her mother's diabetes was under control with the better medicine. I was building something. A family, a purpose, roots in this place. This wasn't Portland, where I was just waiting around to die. This was a life worth living. That's what I told myself anyway. What I needed to believe. Because the alternative that I was exactly like those guys in the forums. The ones I'd read about and pitied. The ones who were convinced their situation was different right up until they discovered it wasn't. That alternative was too painful to consider. So I didn't consider it. Just kept building on a foundation that was already starting to crack. I just couldn't see the cracks yet. Or wouldn't let myself see them. Month 10, Ploy brought up the house. We were at my condo one evening in May, hot season in full force, air conditioning running constantly. She cooked dinner larb with sticky rice, fresh from the market. We were sitting on the balcony with cold singhas watching the city lights come on as dusk settled over Chiang Mai. "You ever think about having a place outside the city?" she asked, casual, like she was just making conversation. I said sometimes, sure. The condo was fine, but renting felt temporary. Why? She said, wouldn't it be nice to have somewhere quiet, away from tourist areas, away from traffic and pollution? Somewhere her son could visit during school breaks, run around, be a kid. Somewhere we could build a real life together, not just renting month to month. I felt my chest tighten. This was different. This was commitment talk. "What are you thinking?" I asked. She said her village in Isan, near her mother. Nothing fancy, just a small house. Land was already in her mother's name, family land, been in the family for generations. They'd only need to pay for construction. I knew enough about Thai law to know where this was going. Foreigners can't own land. That's the first thing every expat forum hammers into you. Land can only be Thai-owned. Structures on land, that's a gray area. Lots of debate about whether foreigners can legally own a house even if they can't own the ground it sits on. "How much we talking?" I asked. She said she'd talked to a contractor family friend. Good price, honest. 800,000 baht for a simple 2-bedroom house. Bathroom, kitchen, solar panels. About $23,000. I didn't answer right away. This was different from helping with the restaurant or dental bills. This was major capital investment in property I legally couldn't own. My name wouldn't be on any deed because I couldn't own the land. Best case scenario, I'd get some kind of contract saying I owned the structure, but those contracts were questionable at best according to the forums. Ploy must have sensed my hesitation, she said quickly. Only if you want. No pressure. I just thinking, you spend $1,200 every month helping us anyway. 14 months, that's $16,800. In 3 years you spend over $43,000, have nothing to show for it. This way you have house, place that's yours, place that's our family's. The math wasn't wrong. I was burning through money monthly with nothing tangible to show for it. At least a house was physical, something built, something that could appreciate in value even if my name wasn't on the deed. Let me think about it, I said. Spent the next 3 weeks researching. Read everything I could find on Thai property law. The basics were clear. Foreigners cannot own land, period. But they can own condominiums as long as no more than 49% of the building is foreign-owned. Houses are trickier. Some people set up Thai companies to hold land in the company name, but that required Thai shareholders and was legally questionable if the company wasn't actually operating a business. Common arrangement for foreign men with Thai partners, land in Thai name, house in foreigner's name, or some split ownership with contracts specifying who owns what. Some guys said it worked fine with proper documentation. Others said they'd lost everything when relationships ended because the contracts weren't enforceable, or because their partners sold the land out from under them and they had no recourse. Forum debates went in circles. Some expats said, don't do it ever, you're throwing money away. Others said it's fine if you trust your partner and get the paperwork right. One guy wrote, I've been in my house for 12 years, everything's fine, best decision I made. 3 comments down someone else wrote, my Thai wife kicked me out of my house and I had 0 legal options. Lost $200,000. I was 66 years old. If the relationship didn't work out, where was I going? Back to Portland to wait around for cancer to return. The house would give me roots here, a place outside the expat bubble, connection to Ploy's family and community. And if things with Ploy didn't work long-term, I'd still have a place to live in Thailand, wouldn't I? Or at least some equity I could negotiate. The logic felt sound, but I knew I was rationalizing. What I really wanted was to feel like I was building something permanent, something that couldn't just evaporate. Month 11 I transferred 800,000 baht, $23,000, biggest single expense of the whole relationship. Boy arranged the contract. It was in Thai, with what she said was an English translation. House to be built on family land, Clyde owns structure, can live there indefinitely, has right to transfer ownership of structure. Looked legitimate enough. I had her get it notarized at a lawyer's office in Chiang Mai. The lawyer was Thai, spoke limited English, basically just stamped and signed everything Ploy put in front of him, charged 500 baht, $15. Construction started in June. Ploy showed me photos every week. Foundation poured, workers mixing concrete by hand. Walls going up, brick and mortar, roof trusses being installed. It was happening. Real construction, real materials, real progress. Month 12, I drove out to see it. 3-hour drive east into Isan, roads getting rougher as we left Chiang Mai province. Rice fields everywhere, water buffalo and mud, small villages with houses on stilts. Different world from the city. Ploy's village was maybe 200 people. Her mother's land was on the edge, near more rice fields. The house site was their foundation matched the photos. Walls up to window height, workers present, materials stacked. Looked right, looked real. Met Ploy's mother for the first time. Woman in her late 60s, weathered face, kind eyes, spoke 0 English. She waved at me respectfully, seemed genuinely happy to meet me. Ploy translated, mother grateful, welcomes me to family, house will be beautiful. We stayed for lunch. Mother cooked sun tam and sticky rice in her small wooden house nearby. Extended family showed up, uncles, cousins, neighbors. Everyone curious about the farang, friendly enough, but I felt like an exhibit. Nobody spoke English except Ploy, but it felt real. This was her actual family, her actual village, not some scam, real people with real lives who were welcoming me in. Then I started noticing discrepancies. The roof tiles in Ploy's photos from the week before were red clay. The ones being installed during my visit were corrugated metal cheap stuff, not what we'd agreed on. I pointed it out. Ploy talked to the contractor in rapid Thai. Came back, said contractor changed plans to save money, would refund the difference, better for budget. The house also looked smaller than the blueprint had shown. I walked the perimeter, tried to match it to the drawings. Definitely smaller. Ploy said contractor adjusted to fit budget better. Still have 2 bedrooms like planned, just more efficient layout. I wanted to believe her, needed to believe her. I was $55,000 invested at this point. Walking away meant admitting I'd been a fool, that Gary from the coffee shop had been right, that I was exactly like those guys on the forums who'd lost everything. So I told myself it was fine. Minor adjustments, normal construction stuff. The important thing was, the house was real, the family was real, I was building something here. We drove back to Chiang Mai that evening. Ploy was quiet. I asked if everything was okay. She said yes, just thinking about the future. About us living there together sometimes, away from the city. Her son running around the property, her mother nearby, a real family. I reached over and took her hand, told her I could see it too, month 14, October. Ploy said the house was complete. Showed me photos. Simple single-story structure painted pale yellow. Small covered porch, flowering plants out front, windows with curtains. It looked finished. It looked like a home. Said we should have a housewarming party, introduce me properly to extended family, make it official. I was excited. This felt like the next step, the foundation becoming something solid. But scheduling kept getting delayed. Someone was sick. Someone was traveling for work. Wrong time in the lunar calendar for celebrations. Ploy had excuses for everything. I suggested we just drive out there ourselves, spend a weekend, just the two of us, christen the place properly. She said furniture hasn't arrived yet, not comfortable, better to wait until everything is set up properly. I didn't push, told myself she wanted it perfect before showing me. But doubt was creeping in. Small things not adding up. The cousin with no sumtam, the phone always face down, never meeting her son despite him supposedly visiting, the house discrepancies, the constant delays. I started having trouble sleeping, would lie in bed at night doing math. $55,000 over 14 months. Was this normal? Was I being played? Or was I just paranoid because of all the forum stories I'd read? My visa extension came due in October. I'd been using an agent recommended by another expat for the paperwork woman named Nok. Ran a visa service. Handled all the immigration office bureaucracy for 8,000 baht. Expensive, but worth it to avoid the lines and confusion. Appointment was on a Tuesday morning. Immigration office in Chiang Mai, busy as always, hundreds of foreigners processing extensions, retirement visas, marriage visas. The place smelled like sweat and frustration. Nok and I sat in the waiting area, my number not called yet, making small talk. She asked how I was enjoying Chiang Mai, if I planned to stay long term. I said, yeah, probably. Had a girlfriend here, we were building a life together. She nodded politely, said, that's nice. Thai girlfriend or foreign? Thai, I said. Showed her a photo on my phone. Ploy and me at Doi Suthep Temple, both smiling at the camera. Dodnov's face changed. Recognition, then discomfort. She looked away quickly. Awkward silence. You know her? I asked. She hesitated. Maybe. I'm not sure. But the way she said it, she was sure. She knew something. My number got called. I processed the extension mechanically, hands shaking as I signed forms. 59 years old now, extending my retirement visa another year, promising to maintain the 800,000 baht in my Thai bank account, promising not to work illegally. Afterward, I found Nok outside. Asked her directly what did she know about Ploy. She didn't want to get involved. Said maybe she was wrong, maybe different person. She shouldn't have said anything. I pressed. Told her I needed to know, whatever it was, I could handle it. She looked at me with something like pity. Then asked carefully, you know she married, right? Husband works Chonburi. Everyone know this. The words hit me like scaffolding collapsing under my feet. I went cold. Everything stopped. The noise of the immigration office faded to white noise. People moving around me felt distant, like I was watching through glass. What? I managed. Nok looked uncomfortable. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe different person. I shouldn't. No, I said. Tell me. She sighed. Said she didn't want to get involved in Farang-Thai relationship problems. It wasn't her business. But I could see in her face she knew something. She'd recognized Ploy in the photo immediately. I asked her to please, just tell me what she knew. I needed to know. She said give her a day or two, let her make some calls. Discreet inquiries. She had friends in the Thai community, could ask around. But she warned me sometimes it's better not to know. I told her I had to know. Next 2 days were the longest of my life. Sat in my condo staring at my phone, waiting for Nok to call. Ploy messaged asking if I wanted to get dinner. I made excuses, said I wasn't feeling well. She said she hoped I felt better soon, sent a heart emoji. I looked at that heart emoji for a long time. Nok called Thursday evening. Asked if I could meet her at a coffee shop away from tourist areas. I drove there, hands gripping the steering wheel too tight. She was already waiting, 2 iced coffees on the table. She didn't waste time. Said she'd talked to her friends, made inquiries in the Thai community, asked around about Ploy. The information came together quick. Ploy was married. Had been for 9 years. Husband's name was Somchai, worked construction in Chonburi province on the eastern seaboard, came home every few months. They had a son together. The boy in the photos was real, but the ex-husband's story was complete fabrication. The cousin on the motorcycle, that was Sumchai, her husband. I felt sick, literally nauseous. The coffee shop spun a little. Nok kept talking. Said this wasn't uncommon in Chiang Mai, in tourist cities across Thailand. Some women had systems. The Thai community knew who they were. Most people didn't judge too harshly. Families need money. Farangs have money. It's a transaction everyone understands even if nobody says it out loud. Ploy's circle knew about me. The Farang sponsor. Nok's friends said some women in Chiang Mai had 2, 3 sponsors who didn't know about each other. Ploy only had me, apparently. Almost respectable by comparison. I asked about the restaurant. Nok made more calls while I sat there. Came back with more information. The aunt had sold the restaurant 6 months ago. Retired to Chiang Rai. Ploy worked 2 shifts a week now at a different restaurant downtown. Made maybe 8,000 baht monthly. Less than $300. The lease payment crisis never happened. The 150,000 baht I transferred went somewhere else. Probably to Sumchai, or split among family, or both. The house, built in the village like she said, but in Sumchai's name. My contract was meaningless, unenforceable. The house was smaller than I'd been told, lower quality materials. Probably cost around 400,000 baht to actually build, maybe $11,000–12,000. The rest of my 23,000 disappeared. Her son's braces? Nok couldn't confirm, but probably real. Brother's motorcycle? Real, but the brother worked a steady job in Chiang Rai, could have afforded it himself eventually. Mama's expensive diabetes medicine from Bangkok Pharmacy? The village clinic had medication for diabetes that cost 2,000 baht a month, not 15,000. Local stuff worked fine. The rest went to household expenses for Ploy's actual family. Nok delivered all this carefully, gently. Said she was sorry. Said this is normal for some Thai women with Farang boyfriends. Not all women, many Thai women are good, honest, looking for real relationships. But some are professionals. Ploy was professional. She made good money from you, Nok said. I'm sorry. I sat there doing math in my head. $55,000 over 14 months, roughly 4,000 a month, though it wasn't evenly distributed. The house was the big chunk. Nok asked if I was okay. I said, yeah, fine, just processing. Thanked her for finding out, paid for the coffees and left. Drove back to my condo in a daze. Chiang Mai evening traffic, songdaeyus and tuk-tuks and motorbikes weaving everywhere, street vendors setting up for dinner service. The same city I'd fallen in love with 14 months ago. Now, it felt alien. Sat on my balcony that night, Singa getting warm in my hand, running the numbers over and over. Total loss, $55,000 over 14 months. I had 70,000 left in savings plus the 30,000 locked in the Thai bank account for visa purposes. Pension still coming in at 1,800 monthly, not broke. Could stay in Thailand comfortably if I wanted. Could keep living in Chiang Mai, probably run and deploy eventually, knowing what I knew now. But the money wasn't the wound. The money was just the measure of the wound. The wound was realizing my loneliness had been that obvious, that easy to exploit, that I'd been exactly the mark I'd read about on those forums and told myself I was too smart to become. The wound was knowing that every moment I thought was genuine had been calculated. Every tear, every protest, every no I cannot accept, followed by tearful acceptance theater. The scaffolding analogy that hooked me so perfectly. Did she use that line on everyone? Or was I special enough to get custom-tailored manipulation? The wound was that part of me still wanted to believe it wasn't all fake, that some of it was real, that she did like me, did enjoy our time together, did feel something even if it wasn't love. I messaged her, asked if she could come over, said we needed to talk. She showed up 40 minutes later, knew something was wrong immediately. I've never been good at hiding my feelings. 40 years on scaffolding doesn't teach you poker face. What's wrong? She asked. I didn't yell, didn't rage, just told her what I knew. Said I'd hired someone to make inquiries, that I knew about Sumchai, the restaurant, the house, all of it. Waited for denial, anger, something. She just looked at me, then started crying. Real tears or performance, I honestly couldn't tell anymore. I love you too, she said. But different love, different from love with husband. Said her and Sumchai had problems. He didn't understand her. They'd been married young, her family arranged it, traditional Aizan way. He worked away most of the time, sent money when he remembered, drank too much when he was home. She needed money for her family. Real need, real problems. Her mother really did have diabetes. Her son really did need school supplies, good education. Her brother really did have motorcycle that needed repairs sometimes. You have so much, she said. Why you angry? I give you company, make you happy, we have good time together. This is how Thailand work. This is normal. Then she said the thing I'll never forget. You think Thai women marry Farang for love. You old, not handsome. I'm sorry, but true. I make you feel young, feel wanted, feel like man. That is worth something, yes? That is what you pay for. You pay, I give company. Fair trade. The honesty was more brutal than lies would have been. I asked about the house. Was any of it real? Could I even stay there? She shrugged. House is for my family. For Sumchai, for my son, for future. But you can visit anytime you want. You are guest. You are always welcome. Guest. In the house I'd paid $23,000 to build. I asked if anything between us had been real. Any of it. She considered the question seriously. Something's real. I like you. You are kind man. Easy to be with, not demanding like some farang. But kind is not enough to live on. You understand, yes? I have family to take care of. This is Taiwei. I told her to leave. She cried more, said she was sorry I was upset, said she hoped I wouldn't be angry long, said she did care about me in her own way. Said maybe we could still be friends when I felt better. I said just go. She left. I sat there on my condo floor, back against the couch, staring at nothing. 40 years on scaffolding taught me to spot structural weakness. Bad welds, wrong concrete mix, compromised load-bearing points. Could see it from 20 feet away. Knew when something was built wrong, knew when it wouldn't hold. Turns out I couldn't spot the weakness in myself. The desperate need to matter to someone. The hunger for connection so intense it overrode every warning sign. The willingness to ignore obvious red flags because admitting them meant admitting I'd been a fool. The scaffolding had warning signs from the start. I just didn't want to see them. Cousin with no food. Phone always face down. Never meeting the family properly. The house discrepancies. Every single thing I'd rationalized away as cultural difference or understandable circumstance. On some level, I'd always known. Had to have known. You don't spend 40 years reading structures and not recognize when one's unsound. But loneliness made me blind. Cancer made me desperate. I needed to believe someone could want me for more than my pension and passport. The worst part? She wasn't even wrong. It was a transaction. I was paying for company, for the feeling of being wanted, for the fantasy of building a life with someone. She provided the service. I paid for the service. The only person lying was me. Lying to myself that it was more than that. I blocked her number that night. Deleted all our line messages. All the photos. Everything. Knew I'd never see the 55,000 again. Thai police wouldn't help even if I wanted to file a report. What crime was committed? I gave gifts voluntarily. Transferred money to help with emergencies that I couldn't prove weren't real. Signed a contract for a house in Thai. All legal, all voluntary, no fraud in the legal sense. Just cultural exploitation masquerading as romance. And I'd walked into it eyes wide open, telling myself I was different, my situation was special, I was smarter than the cautionary tales. Turns out the cautionary tales exist because guys like me keep thinking we're the exception. Spent 2 weeks in my condo paralyzed. Didn't go out except to the 7-Eleven downstairs for instant noodles and Chang. Ordered food delivery when I remembered to eat. Avoided the Tuesday expat coffee group. Couldn't face Gary's knowing look. Couldn't admit he'd been right all along. Shame was the main emotion, not anger at ploy. Anger would have been easier. Shame at myself. Humiliation at my own willful blindness. I'd spent 40 years learning to identify structural weakness in buildings. Could spot a bad weld from 20 feet away. Knew when concrete was mixed wrong just by looking at it. Could tell you which support beam was carrying too much load, which connection point would fail under stress. But couldn't spot the weakness in myself. The desperate need to matter to someone. The hunger for connection so intense it overrode every warning sign my 40 years of experience should have caught. I calculated losses beyond the money. 14 months of my life. At 66, with cancer potentially lurking, that's time I can't get back. Time that could have been spent actually building something real instead of financing someone else's life while calling it mine. Alienated my sister. She'd stopped calling after the 5th or 6th conversation where I went on about my Thai girlfriend, about the house we were building, about finally having a family. She tried to warn me gently. I'd stopped taking her calls, didn't want to hear the concern in her voice. Stopped responding to friends' invitations to visit Portland, Dave from poker, guys from the union. They'd email asking when I was coming back, I'd make excuses. Too busy, life here is good, maybe next year. Became that guy in the expat forums I used to pity. The one who was convinced his situation was different, his girl was special. The cautionary tales didn't apply to him because he was smarter, more careful, could see through the scams. Turns out I was just another lonely old man with a pension and a weakness someone knew how to exploit. The 55,000 hurt but wasn't catastrophic. I had 70,000 left in liquid savings plus the 30 locked in my Thai bank account. Pension covered rent, food, utilities. Could stay in Thailand comfortably if I wanted to. But Chiang Mai felt poisoned now. Couldn't walk past a restaurant without wondering if the waitress was running the same game on some other lonely farang. Every market vendor's smile felt calculating. Every friendly conversation felt like someone sizing up my bank account. The expat community knew. News travels fast among foreigners in small cities. Some were sympathetic. Other guys who'd been through similar things, lost money to Thai girlfriends or business partners, they'd nod knowingly, say it happens to everyone, part of the learning curve. Others were judgmental. I could see it in their faces at coffee shops, at the visa office. Another stupid Farang who thought he was special. Gary from the Tuesday group saw me at Maya Mall one day, came over, put his hand on my shoulder, said, "Mate, everyone goes through their Thai girlfriend phase. Consider it tuition for the University of Hard Knocks." I didn't find it funny. He meant well. They all meant well. But it didn't help. Month 16. I flew back to Portland. Couldn't stay in Chiang Mai anymore. Every temple reminded me of walking there with Ploy. Every street food vendor selling cow soy made my stomach turn. The whole city felt like a crime scene. My apartment was still leased to Dave's son, so I stayed with Karen for a few weeks. She didn't say, "I told you so." Didn't have to. Her concern was obvious. Made me coffee in the mornings, cooked dinners, gave me space to process. Finally, one evening she said, "You want to talk about it?" I told her everything. The whole story. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she just said, "I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm glad you're home." Saw an oncologist for my annual screening. Different doctor than before. My old one had retired. Cancer markers still clear. Good news that felt hollow. I'd survived cancer just to lose $55,000 in 14 months to a woman who was never mine to begin with. Started seeing a therapist. Not about the cancer, about Thailand, about Poi, about why I'd been so desperate to believe. Therapist was a woman in her 50s, kind face, patient, listened to me explain how stupid I'd been, how I should have seen it coming, how I deserved what happened for being so naive. She stopped me. Said I wasn't stupid, I was lonely. Said the cancer diagnosis had shattered my identity. For 40 years, I was Clyde the scaffolder, self-sufficient, didn't need anyone, good at my job. Then suddenly, I'm Clyde the cancer patient. Vulnerable, mortal, needed by no one. When Ploy made me feel needed, my brain confused transaction for intimacy because I was starving for the latter. Made sense. Didn't make it hurt less, but it made sense. Month 18. I'd settled into a new normal. Got my apartment back from Dave's son. Took a part-time job at a hardware store. Not for the money. Pension covered that. For the routine. For something to do besides think about Thailand. Rejoined the poker game. Timbers were having a good season. Went to matches with Dave. Had beers at the Ram after. Fell back into the old rhythm. Saw Karen weekly for dinner. She'd started dating someone, a divorced accountant she met at her book club. Seemed happy. I was happy for her. Met a woman at Karen's church. Linda, 63, divorced. Worked as a nurse at Providence. We got coffee a few times. Nothing serious, just talking. Slow, cautious. She'd been through her own divorce, had her own scars, no fireworks, no intensity, no desperate need to build something immediately. Just two people with realistic expectations, seeing if they enjoyed each other's company. It felt sufficient, not ecstatic, but stable. No scaffolding about to collapse under our feet. Looking back now, I see the core lesson clear as day. Thai dating isn't surprisingly different. It's exactly as advertised. And I was exactly the guy who thought he'd be the exception. The cancer made me hungry for connection. And hunger makes you easy to exploit. Ploy wasn't evil. She was surviving in an economy where Farang boyfriends are a resource like any other. Providing a service, getting paid for it. From her perspective, she probably worked hard for that money. Emotional labor, companionship, making me feel wanted. Fair trade in her eyes. I wasn't stupid either. I was lonely. Which is different but equally dangerous. The power imbalance killed any possibility of authentic relationship. Money, passport, desperation dressed as generosity. Built something that looked like love but had no foundation. You can't construct a real relationship when you're the only one financing it. That's not cultural difference, that's just physics. Scaffolders know that foundations must bear weight equally, or the structure fails. I was trying to build a life on a foundation where only one side carried the load. My advice to other men considering the same path: don't confuse kindness for attraction, don't confuse need for love, and don't think your situation is special. If you're financing everything, you're not building a relationship. You're a client maintaining a service contract. Nothing wrong with that if you're going clear-eyed, eyes wide open, knowing what you're buying. But don't lie to yourself about what it is. I don't regret Thailand entirely. The experience taught me I can still feel deeply, that I'm not emotionally dead after decades of solitary work. That capacity for connection is still there. But those feelings need to be invested wisely. In relationships with equal footing, where both people bring more than just what the other lacks. Cancer taught me life is short. Thailand taught me that desperation makes you measure wrong. Now I measure carefully, Build on solid foundations. And if something doesn't feel structurally sound, I walk away before the whole thing collapses. That's the lesson. Took $55,000 and 14 months to learn it. But at least I learned it. Some guys never do. That was Clyde's story. 66 years old, cancer survivor, looking for warmth and connection in his remaining years, and he found it, briefly, for a price of $55,000 and 14 months. He's not broke, not destroyed, but marked by the experience in ways money can't measure. The uncomfortable truth about these stories is that both parties often see themselves as victims. Ploy likely believes she worked hard for that money, providing companionship, emotional labor, the girlfriend experience to a lonely Farang. From her perspective, it was fair trade. From Clyde's, it was exploitation. Both can be true simultaneously. Thailand isn't a scam country. Millions of foreigners build genuine lives here, marry Thai partners in authentic relationships, integrate successfully. But Thailand, like the Philippines, like Vietnam, like anywhere with significant wealth disparity, creates conditions where transactional relationships disguise themselves as romantic ones. The men most vulnerable are those least able to spot the difference: the lonely, the recently divorced, the recently bereaved, the recently diagnosed. If you're considering a similar path, ask yourself, would this person be with me if I had no money? If the answer is no, or if you can't answer honestly, you're not in a relationship, you're in a transaction. Transactions are fine if you see them clearly. But calling a transaction romance is how hearts get broken and savings accounts emptied. Thanks for watching. This is Thailand. If Clyde's story resonated with you or someone you know, leave a comment below. If you've been through something similar, you're not alone. These stories repeat because the vulnerability that drives them is universal. Take care of yourselves out there. And remember, the best foundation for any relationship is one where both people stand on equal ground. Until next time.